Hello learners, it's good to see you today. I thought of having this video because we didn't have our class earlier. So we are talking about site preliminaries. What happens in these site preliminaries? So let's have a look. Okay, so we are saying that in the site preliminaries, we are going to talk about important things. We're going to talk about compliance. We're going to talk about certifications. We're going to talk about site services and need for site services. So the first question would be why compliance matters. So there, you can just pause and think of why compliance matters. Yeah, but compliance matters simply because there is enhanced workplace safety and reduced accidents. As you can see, we have legal protection for all stakeholders. We have improved efficiency and quality, and then strengthened professional reputation. Strengthened professional reputation. You can compliance. We talk about compliance to OSHA, regulatories, compliance to NCA. We want to ensure that there is integrity with the people that are doing that team, the building team. There is integrity, there is competence, because we don't want a situation where buildings are collapsing, where roads are getting issues very before its period gets to before it gets to its period. So yeah, there's different risks of non-compliance. You can you can receive a penalty. Someone can die because of a head damage. Maybe project delays, yeah, because of incompetence. Non-compliance will also cost you a lot. It will cost you a lot. You can, if you are caught being non-compliant, maybe with OSHA Act, your license can be taken from you, and that won't be good. So it is important before you carry out a construction activity that you have meetings, maybe with a building team. You have meetings with the respective personnel, that you discuss the project before you submit it for approval. This is before submission. Before submission, you talk with the client. Is this what you want? So that the thing that will be approved should be the final idea, the final project that the clients want to be implemented. It's important also for the client to understand the requirements, the regulatory requirements of maybe the counties, the regulatory bodies. Yeah, it's important. Required documents, you'll be required to have site plans, architectural drawings, engineering reports, maybe structural calculation and designs. You also be required to have environmental assessment, environmental impact assessment. Mostly this is important, especially now we are looking at greening. We want to see what will be the impact of this project on the environment, the effluence. Will there be any influence? Will there be noise? We want to see that assessment. How many people who can benefit from this? Okay, so that's something else. So you compile all the documents, you pay the relevant fees, you submit digitally or in person, and you also receive an acknowledgement. And then you can have that after you submit, it might take a few days before final approval. And then also there are three possible outcomes that can happen. Your plan can be approved. It can be approved with specific conditions. Maybe you are asked to fast, maybe confirm this and this and that, and then it can also be rejected. Why can it be rejected? If it does not meet the threshold or the criteria, the respective for instance, the regulatory bodies know the soil conditions of certain areas. So if you want to erect maybe a building that has more flaws than the prerequisite, or maybe that causes more impact than good, then it's absolutely going to be rejected. So just think, why do you think the review process can take several weeks of month? What can make it take long? And maybe what can you do to have it take less time? Think through that. Okay, so so also let's talk about notice of commencement. When you now want to start, these are documents that is official and it's legally establishes the official start date of a project. It notifies all the interested parties that construction is beginning. Construction is beginning. So it's important to know that it has begun. So if you are doing your time analysis, that the first event, the beginning. This is now a notice of the event, beginning event. That now all the other activities can come up after them. Okay, so we have that. Um, it's important that uh, before more jurisdiction required notice to be filed with the local building authority so that they can know there's a construction going. Uh, it should be posted visibly at the construction site that the construction is ongoing. It should be issued within a specific time frame, usually 7 to 30 days before work. It should be signed by the property owner or authorized agent um, for consent that this is my project and it's ongoing. An example of a notice is notice of commencement project, new commercial building, address 123 Main Street, owner, start date is this one, contractor is this person, this is the permit that has been obtained, NCA, other details it might be the NCA code ID, it might also be the architect's name. Mostly this will be placed in a board for purposes of reference and that anybody can know that this is the person that is undertaking this task. Why is it required? Um, it protects the property owners from land, informs subcontractors of project details. So nobody will come and say that, oh, we didn't know that there's a project that's happening here. Okay, so it creates also legal timelines for the project. So you can ask if the contractor said is going to complete this work by in 2 years or in a year, it marks a particular specific timeline that if it started on 2nd August 2022, then it has to be completed in before 2nd August 2024. Payments will also be referred to the timeline that it started. All right, all right. So in buildings, we'll have, after that, we'll have setting up of the site. We'll have what you call a datum line, which is a reference point. So reference points are, if you have maybe a specific elevation of that area or a benchmark, from whence all the other points will be mapped from. So it's important that you, after that, you set up a datum point, which is a fixed reference point or line from which all measurements on a construction site are taken. It's established. It establishes the exact position of a structure relative to property boundaries and other site features. Why does it matter? The datum ensures that structures are positioned exactly according to the plan. Yeah, it's important. I recently saw a building that uh, the water could not flow well, even when you are maybe doing some cleaning, simply because there was an imbalance when transferring those levels from the datum. So it brings proper alignment. You don't want to see a building looking as if it can fall anytime because of lack of alignment. So what we do, we need to focus on how we transfer our levels. Our level should be transferred um, from the datum points to the columns to the structural elements themselves, even to the walling units. Yeah. Uh, they are established, you can establish by surveyor specialized equipment such as theodolized total stations. We have laser scanners, can be new technologies of transferring this data, this data. Yeah. So what happens? There are different types. You can have lesser levels. We also have dumpy levels. I know you've interacted mostly with dumpy levels. Maybe you can just familiarize yourself with lesser levels. It's a modern. It's very accurate to within millimeters. That any small inaccuracy you can easily detect it because of it's a laser. Okay, it's a laser. Okay, so the critical question is, how might inaccurate site levels affect finished buildings? Just try to think through, consider structural integrity, drainage issues, connection to service, and compliance with regularities. You can feel free to pause and check in after that. Okay, good to see you again after thinking through that. So we talk about essential site services. Why are temporary services needed? So the first temporary, we see that construction sites require basic utilities to function safely and efficiently. Workers need clean water for drinking, hygiene, electricity for tools, lighting, and sanitation for health. So we are seeing that first of all, it's one of the basic need. You need to provide water even for drinking. Before we talk of anything else, water for drinking should be there. Electricity for lighting, security. We need to talk about sanitation facilities. Where will they? Do you have restrooms? Where will the employees rest? Uh, where can they visit when they need maybe to relieve themselves? These are the essential temporary services. If you want to sign some things, if you want to store some things, where will you keep them? These are all called site services. Okay, so all temporary services must meet regulatory standards. Water supply must be portable and accessible. We say that we construct, even concrete itself, we use potable water. We don't use raw water when we are handling constructions. So water supply should be portable. Electrical system should comply with IEEE regulations. So electrical systems require proper installation, earthing, and protection. Sanitation facilities should comply to the OSHA OSHA acts. So we're saying, sorry for that. Sanitation facilities might be adequate for workforce size and be properly maintained. All right. So we have common implementations. We have water temporary connection to the mains, or maybe water bossers. We have electricity generator set, or a temporary supply from the grid. Sanitation. We have portable toilets or temporary waste connections. You can also have pit latrines, temporary pit latrines that can be situated at a particular place. So it's good to, we also have access roads that has not been mentioned here. Access roads, how will you access this site? How will you access this site? So it's important that access roads, let me include that, access roads, access roads. It's important that access roads are included. You have access roads. You don't need to have a situation where you're bringing materials and you can't get to the site. Bring materials, but you can't get to the site because you've not invested in having access roads. You can use different materials to pave access roads. You can use maram, you can use cabros, you can even use stones, yeah, and various materials that you can use for access roads. So just think through what risks might arise if temporary services are not managed properly. What might happen? What's the worst case scenario? We can have fires, we can have health risks, we can have electrocution, can have poor sanitation, project delays. Why? Because if you have a road that does not allow passage of materials, then the project will delay. Okay? So it's important. We know that this thing might seem of a little importance, but they affect the total cost of the project and the total duration of the project. All right. So something else that you need to talk about, we need to talk about is we need now to, um, sorry, we need a proper drainage system to prevent water accumulation, um, okay, and road deterioration during wet weather conditions. Okay, we also need the load bearing capacity must support heavy construction vehicles and deliveries. Road should be at least 3.5 meters wide for single lane traffic and 6 meters for two-way traffic. We are talking about site access roads. It's important because you are carrying a huge stuff, around 20 tons, 30 tons. So you will need to have ensure that the road itself has high load bearing capacity. Okay. You should have clear signs, speed limits, hazards, and directions is essential. It's important to let the people of the community know that there is a construction, there is some men at work, construction works happening here, so that you reduce maybe traffic. So install traffic control measures like flaggers, temporary signals at entrance points where construction traffic meets public roads. Very important. This is very important. Okay, dust suppression, you it's important to make good for the community. So if because of the access roads you have a lot of dust, ensure that maybe after every 2 days you do some undusting, maybe having a water bowser, go through that, because you want to be in good terms with the people of the community. It's very important, very important. You also need to maybe think of employing people from that community to do that work, ensure that it's clean. Yeah, it's good to be in good terms with them. Yeah. Another thing that maybe you can talk about is temporary building types that we have. Yeah, we can have site offices for administrative work, meetings and document storage, break rooms, staff restrooms, meals, changing rooms. Can have storage units, tool storage, material protection. Can have workshops where you can have workshops maybe for bar bending. You can have workshops for maybe spacer creation, spacer mm, preparation. It's important to have this building in construction. So health regulatory consideration, health and safety, there should be fire exits, there should be ventilation, there should be structural stability. We also need to have maybe a fire free zone. Where will people escape? Where can people get sand in case of fire? All those OSH related acts should be included. All right, so I think with that we are good. Um, it's been great talking to you, and I'll see you again in our next class. Bye bye.